Most people shopping for an SUV are making the same mistake. They are buying the one that looks newest, not the one that will still be on the road when the loan is long gone. They chase Turbo 4s, giant touchscreens, and fancy badges, then act shocked when that great deal turns into a transmission problem, an oil-burning engine, or a repair bill that kills the whole point of buying used. I've been working on SUVs for over 2 decades, and I can tell you exactly which ones keep showing up with huge mileage still running strong, and which ones start falling apart the minute the warranty dies. The 5 on this list were built before the industry completely lost its mind. No gimmicks, no fragile drivetrains pretending to be progress, just proven engines, solid transmissions, and the kind of durability that lets you buy once and stop worrying. Number 5 is one of the most overlooked luxury SUV buys in America. Number 4 is the kind of family SUV people keep for 10 years because it never gives them a reason to replace it. And number 1 is the SUV that, in my professional opinion, comes closest to being a one-time purchase. Let us get into it. Number 5, Acura RDX, 2013 to 2018. At number 5 is the SUV that gets ignored by exactly the people who should be buying it. The second generation Acura RDX sits in that awkward middle ground where luxury buyers think it is not flashy enough, and regular buyers assume it must cost more to own than it actually does. That misunderstanding is exactly why it is such a smart used buy. A customer of mine came in last year with about $16,000 to spend on a compact luxury SUV. He was looking at a BMW X3, an Audi Q5, and a 2015 Acura RDX. The BMW had the bad, the Audi had the prettier interior. The Acura was the one he barely wanted to test drive. I told him the RDX was the only one on his list I would actually want to own past 100,000 miles. He bought it with 74,000 on the clock. Since then, it has needed nothing beyond an oil change, brakes, and a battery. What makes the RDX such a strong pick is that Acura did not get cute with it. They gave it a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6. No turbocharger, no tiny overstressed engine, no direct injection only setup loading the intake valves with carbon as the mileage climbs. This is a port-injected V6 from Honda's proven J35 family, and mechanics trust it because it is simple in the places that matter and durable in the places that cost money. Acura also used a 6-speed automatic, not a CVT, and not some over-engineered setup built to chase efficiency at the expense of durability. Change the fluid when you're supposed to, and these transmissions usually behave. That matters because in used luxury SUVs, transmission trouble is where cheap to buy becomes I should have listened. The RDX also ages like a normal vehicle, not like a gadget. Good size, good seating position, decent visibility, easy to drive, easy to park. That matters more than people think. A vehicle can be reliable on paper and still annoy people into replacing it. The RDX usually does the opposite. These still sell for less than used German rivals from the same years, and that is not because they are worse vehicles. It is because people are still shopping by image. The BMW looks expensive in the driveway. The Acura looks smart on your bank statement 3 years later. If you are shopping for one, check service records first. If the previous owner ignored transmission fluid changes, that is a bad sign. On all-wheel drive models, check rear differential service too. Make sure the power tailgate works properly and listen to the engine warm, not just cold. A healthy one should sound smooth and settled. The Acura RDX is number 5 because it gives you luxury SUV comfort with a powertrain that still behaves like it was designed to last. Number 4, Toyota Highlander VI6 2014 to 2019. Number 4 is the SUV I have recommended to more normal families than almost anything else with 4 wheels. The Toyota Highlander VI6 is not exciting, and that is exactly the point. This is what you buy when you are done gambling. It is what you buy when you need room, reliability, and a drivetrain that does not act like it was built by a marketing department. A few years back, a couple came into my shop looking for one vehicle to handle everything. Kids, road trips, groceries, bad weather, commuting, the usual family SUV life. They had been looking at newer crossovers with little turbo engines because salespeople kept pushing the fuel economy angle. On paper, those SUVs looked modern. Underneath, they were exactly the kind of thing I would not want to own at 120,000 miles. I told them to stop chasing newer and go buy a Highlander VI6. They found a 2016 model with just under 90,000 miles. Since then, every visit has been boring. Oil changes, routine maintenance, nothing dramatic. The reason the Highlander belongs here is simple. Toyota stuck with the formula that worked. A naturally aspirated V6, a conventional automatic transmission, and a reputation built on real-world use instead of brochure language. That matters because family SUVs live hard lives, even when they are not abused. Short trip, loaded cabins, highway miles, parking lot damage, hot weather, cold starts, and years of normal use expose weak drivetrains fast. The Highlander usually takes that life without complaints. This is also one of those SUVs where the engineering feels honest. It is not trying to win a brochure war. It is trying to do its job every day for a very long time. The V6 has enough strength that the SUV never feels strained, and that makes a bigger difference than buyers realize. Small engines in big family vehicles are always working harder than the salesmen admit. The Highlander's V6 is built for the job. The transmission is another big reason it made this list. This is not one of those setups that starts flaring, hesitating, or hunting for gears once the mileage gets serious. A good automatic paired with a proven V6 is still one of the safest bets in the used SUV world. Good Highlanders are not cheap, and that is because people know what they are. But I would much rather pay solid money for a vehicle with a proven drivetrain than save a couple thousand upfront on something complicated that is going to collect the difference later in repairs. That is fake saving. If you're looking at one, stay focused on the V6 models in this later range. Pay attention to how it shifts. It should feel clean and settled, not awkward or delayed. Check for fluid leaks underneath and inspect suspension wear, especially on vehicles that clearly spent years carrying kids, cargo, and road trip weight. On all-wheel drive versions, I always want to see that the underbody has not been ignored. The Highlander 5. 6 lands at number 4 because as a buy-once family vehicle, it is one of the safest bets in America. Number 3. Toyota 4Runner, 2014 to 2020. Number 3 is the SUV people buy when they are sick of pretending a crossover can do the same job. The Toyota 4Runner is old school in a way that would get laughed out of a product meeting today, and that is exactly why it made this list. Body-on-frame construction, a naturally aspirated V6, a real automatic transmission, and an overall design Toyota barely touched for years because it already worked. A guy came into my shop after getting tired of his newer mid-size crossover living in the dealership. Nothing catastrophic, just constant nonsense. Electronics 1 month, drivability issue the next, then a warning light nobody could explain properly. He asked me what I would buy if I needed an SUV I could keep for 10 years and not think about. I told him to go drive a 4Runner. He came back in a 2016 SR5 with just over 80,000 miles. Last I checked, it had crossed well past 150,000 and done exactly what 4Runners usually do. It just kept showing up. The reason the 4Runner earns this spot is because it was built more like a truck than a modern SUV. Separate frame, proven mechanical components, and very little interest in chasing trend. Toyota kept the 4.0-liter V6 in this thing because it worked. No turbocharging. No tiny engine trying to act bigger than it is. No complicated drivetrain trickery trying to impress people on paper and punish them later in the shop. Toyota paired it with a 5-speed automatic that most manufacturers would have replaced 3 times by now in the name of progress. Toyota did not. They left it alone because it was dependable. A lot of modern transmissions are clever. Clever is not always good at 170,000 miles. The 4Runner's transmission is not clever. It is just sturdy. I'm not going to pretend this thing is perfect. It is not efficient, not especially fast, and it does not drive like a car. That is the trade. But in a video about SUVs that refuse to die, that trade works in your favor. Everything about the 4Runner feels like it was built with abuse in mind. Bad roads, heavy use, long ownership. That is why these things hold value like crazy. The market already knows they lack. That is also why it is number 3 instead of higher. You usually pay for that reputation. A good used 4Runner is not some secret bargain, but I would still rather pay up for a vehicle with a drivetrain this proven than save money on something that looks newer but starts falling apart when the odometer gets serious. If you are shopping for one, inspect it like a truck, not just like an SUV. Look underneath for rust, especially if it has spent time in snow states. Check for off-road abuse, inspect suspension wear, look for signs of cheap lift kit, and pay attention to driveline vibration on the test drive. I would also check maintenance history closely because while these are tough, that does not mean I want one owned by somebody who thought Toyota reliable meant never service it. The Toyota 4Runner is number 3 because it is one of the last mid-size SUVs in America that still feels like it was built for people who keep vehicles forever. Number 2, Lexus GX460 2014 to 2019. Number 2 is what happens when Toyota builds a luxury SUV and forgets to make it weak. The Lexus GX460 is, in my opinion, one of the most overbuilt SUVs ever sold to normal American buyers. It does not have the showroom drama of a German badge. What it has is mechanical strength, and once you understand what is underneath this thing, it becomes very hard to take a lot of other luxury SUVs seriously. A retired engineer came into my shop a couple of years ago driving a Mercedes SUV that was starting to punish him for owning it. Air suspension problems, electrical gremlins, the usual premium brand nonsense that looks impressive right up until the warranty disappeared. He wanted to know if it was worth putting more money into it or if he should get out while he still could. I told him to stop feeding the Mercedes and go find a Lexus GX460. A few weeks later, he came back in a 2015 GX with around 95,000 miles. Since then, the repair history has been exactly what you want. Tires, brakes, routine maintenance, one wheel bearing, done. The GX460 belongs this high on the list because the engineering is exactly what long-term ownership needs. Under the hood is a 4.6-liter naturally aspirated V8. This is not a downsized turbo engine trying to fake refinement while carrying too much weight. This is a real V8 built for longevity, smoothness, and effortless operation. It uses a timing chain. It was designed to hold up. Then you look at the rest of the SUV and it gets even better. Full-time four-wheel drive, truck roof, real structure underneath the leather and wood. That is one of the reasons these age so well. The platform underneath is tougher than what most luxury buyers are used to. The transmission is another part of why this SUV keeps its reputation. Lexus paired the GX with a proper automatic that suits the vehicle instead of trying to make it feel like some sporty crossover. In long-term ownership, the right transmission matters more than any touchscreen or brochure phrase about driver engagement. Now, this is not the cheapest SUV on the list to buy or feed. You are dealing with a V8 and a heavy vehicle, so fuel economy is not one of its strengths. But if the goal is buying once and driving for years without the whole vehicle turning into a fragile mess, the GX is brutally hard to beat. When you inspect one, start with the suspension. Some models use a rear air suspension setup, and while it is far less dramatic than what you see on a lot of European luxury SUVs, I still want it checked. Look for sagging in the rear and make sure the system is doing what it should. Check the side hinge rear door too. Most importantly, look underneath for off-road damage or signs of a cheap lift kit. The Lexus GX460 sits at number 2 because it combines luxury with something most luxury SUVs do not have anymore: real mechanical backbone. Number 1, Lexus RX 350 2010 to 2015. And here it is. Number 1 is the SUV I have recommended to more people who wanted long-term peace than anything else on this list. The 2010 to 2015 Lexus RX 350 is not the toughest SUV here, not the biggest, and not the most rugged. This is the one you buy when you want to stop thinking about your vehicle. That is why it is number 1. A woman I have known through the shop for years bought a 2013 RX 350, almost a decade ago. She wanted one thing and one thing only. She wanted an SUV she could keep until she was done driving. She found one with low miles, bought it, and never looked back. That SUV has now crossed well over 140,000 miles, and the ownership history has been about as boring as it gets. Brakes, batteries, fluids, routine maintenance, 1 or 2 small wear items, nothing that ever changed her mind about the vehicle. The reason this thing earns the top spot starts with the engine. Lexus put the 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 in it, the 2GR family, and that engine has been one of the safest bets in the business for years. No turbocharger, no tiny displacement trying to drag around a luxury SUV with boost pressure and heat, no complicated setup built to impress somebody in a showroom and then punish them later. This is a proper V6 with a long history of doing what a reliable engine is supposed to do. It is paired with a 6-speed automatic that matches the vehicle perfectly. That matters because part of what makes the RX so good is that nothing about the powertrain feels stressed. The engine is not straining. The transmission is not hunting around trying to act smarter than it is. The whole thing feels settled. That is the whole RX formula. It is built around comfort, simplicity in the right places, and hardware that has already proven itself. It is not trying trying to be sporty. It is not trying to pretend it is some kind of off-road machine. It is trying to be smooth, quiet, easy to live with, and dependable for a very long time. The other reason this SUV had to be number one is because it works for almost everybody. The GX is tougher, but it is heavier, thirstier, and more SUV than many people need. The 4Runner is a tank, but it drives like one too. The Highlander is brilliant as a family tool, but it does not give you the same level of refinement. The Acura RDX is a strong value, but it is not as universally dependable over the long haul as the RX. The Lexus RX 350 is the one that lands in the sweet spot. Good RX 350S are not giveaways, and there is a reason for that. People know what they are, but I would much rather pay solid money for a vehicle with a reputation this strong than chase a deal on some used luxury SUV that is already halfway to becoming a financial hostage situation. If you are shopping for one, check the dashboard on earlier years because some had cracking issues, especially in hotter climates. Make sure the power rear hatch works properly. Check for whining or steering-related noises that suggest wear in the electric assist system. Test everything inside and pay attention to the overall condition and ownership history. The best RX 3508s are usually the ones that were simply taken care of. That is why the Lexus RX 350 is number one. If somebody asks me for one used SUV that gives them the best shot at buying once and driving for years without drama, this is where I would start. So there it is. 5 SUVs that, when bought in the right years with the right powertrain, give you a real shot at stepping out of the upgrade cycle and keeping one vehicle for the long haul. The Acura RDX, the Toyota Highlander V6, the Toyota 4Runner, the Lexus GX46, and at number 1, the Lexus RX 350. None of these SUVs are here because they are trendy or packed with gimmicks. They are here because they were built on proven mechanical foundations, and that still matters more than anything else once the miles start stacking up. That is the part the market keeps getting wrong. People buy what looks fresh, then act surprised when fresh turns fragile. The smart move is usually the opposite. Find the SUV with the boringly good engine, the proven transmission, and the reputation that mechanics respect. That is how you end up with something that lasts. If this video helped, hit like and subscribe. I have more coming on the SUVs people keep overpaying for and the ones that actually deserve your money. Drive safe, take care of your SUV, and it will take care of you.